We search for identity and define ourselves in various ways: education, church affiliations, jobs, family heritage, social status, community. While they describe us in meaningful ways, they do not define us. On today's episode, I'm joined by Moji Akinde, and we are ranting about identity struggles. Moji, welcome
Thank you.
and
Thanks for having me.
introduce yourself.
Okay. I'm trying to think about what to say about myself. All right, cool. It's all good. So my name is Moji Akinde, and I call myself a Nigerian American, a true Nigerian American because I have spent almost equal amounts of time of my life in Nigeria and in America. And, it's that one poem by Worse and Shire, I believe, that says, you're too foreign from home, don't belong anywhere, that kind of thing. But what I do believe is that people who share the same similar identity as me are just a new hybrid of Nigerian
Yeah.
Americans, and we carry both cultures. I am I'm a Chicagoan. I'm a lover of food, of culture, of wine, basically anything I consume. I like to appreciate it. So if it's food, wine, whiskey, whatever it is, I appreciate things like that. I'm a big fan of cultivating friendships. I take my friends almost closer than my family that I share bloodlines with. And let's see, what else? I don't know.
You're a professional troublemaker.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look at this face. Could this face ever come down? Okay, yes, I do. I enjoy. Actually, this is a fun part about me as well. Yes, I do enjoy pushing people to think about why they think the way they do. So obviously
Mhm.
that means it sounds like trouble, right? So whatever it is, whether we're talking about culture, religion, feminism, gender, sexuality, name whatever topic it is, not because I just want to be contrarian. I really do usually hold unpopular opinions on a lot of topics. And what I try to do is challenge other people to think about why they think the way they do. I don't need to change people's minds. It's not my goal to change your mind, but my goal is to challenge you, to challenge your beliefs and why you think the way they do. And if the challenge comes back favorable to your existing beliefs, then cool. But if not, maybe it might be time to
We're gonna
reevaluate it.
change it.
In translation, some people call that troublemaking, which, whatever. I guess it is.
Yeah, it is troublemaking.
Yeah,
So
whatever.
Moji is a Nigerian, a professional troublemaker, a wine lover. What do you say defines you? Is there one thing or more than?
It's a heavy topic, right? So definitely not one thing defines me.
Mm-hmm.
However, if I were forced to answer in 5 seconds, the primary
Mm-hmm.
identity that I have is an African woman, a Black woman. That's usually the primary identity that, you know, I subscribe to. And there's a lot that goes in that because, and note, I didn't just say woman, specifically an African woman, because I need you to understand the spirituality, the depth, the culture, the a lot of things that goes into being an African woman. And once I say African, you can have an idea of all the things that have shaped that identity, for better and for worse. So that will probably be the first one, but I can't say that there's one identity per se because obviously I'm also a sister, right? I come from a huge family that we know of. I have 12 siblings, at
Me
least confirmed.
too.
Let's be honest. If my siblings end up saying this, hey, it is what it is. You all know. 12, I mean 13 total that we know of. I'm sure there are many others. But anyway, topic for another day. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we're 12 as well. I'm number 7, I think. I don't know, but yeah, I'm also from a huge family.
See, so of my mom, I'm number 7 of 7. In total, I'm
uh
9 of 13. So I'm the youngest child of my mom. So
mhm.
again, going back to identities, right? Of course,
Yeah.
in the Nigerian culture, there's the last born culture. And then, there's
Yeah.
so even though I have last born identity, I'm also not the youngest because I have
Yeah.
other siblings as well. So
Mm,
there are multiple layers of that identity. I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a professional, which
mm.
usually what happened in this conversation? Usually that's where we start with, right? We have a
Yeah.
habit of starting our identities and introductions with people with, hey, my name is Moji and I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer,
Yeah.
I'm an
Yeah.
engineer,
Yeah.
I'm a pharmacist, whatever it is you are. But is that really an identity? And obviously, to some, the answer is yes. And anyway, I'm sure you'll have more questions from me and go into it
Yep, for sure.
further. But
So
yeah.
yeah. So when you mentioned being African and being a black woman, right? When I think I grew up just being Moturayo. I was the
Okay.
sister, I was a friend, and then I realized quickly when I went to boarding school that you were Yoruba or Igbo or something. Even though we had some international students, there weren't
Mm-hmm.
that many. There wasn't many of them. So yes, so I was Yoruba. And then I moved to like the northern part of Nigeria, and it's like, oh, I'm actually like Yoruba,
Yeah.
like yeah. And then I left the country, and it became, oh, you're African, and I was like, no, I'm
Mm-hmm.
Nigerian, So
Mm-hmm.
my Nigerianness also like overtook my Yoruba, me
Mm-hmm.
being a Yoruba woman, right? And then when I moved to the States, I called a hospital to like book an appointment to go in to do some check. I can't even remember. But like I know for sure it was with my first year of coming to the States. And the lady was like, what do you identify as? And I was like,
Hmm.
I don't know, Mutarayo, I gave you my name. I'm a student. I live
I'm
here.
human.
What else do you need? Exactly, like I'm a woman. And I was like, what else do you need? And she was like, yeah, like, but ma'am, what do you identify as? And I sat down like over the phone thinking, what do I identify as? Like, how can I help me? Because this
Mm-hmm.
question that you're asking me, she don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I literally have no answer for you. And she was like, oh, you have an accent. Where is it from? And I was like, my mouth? Like, girl, what do you want? And she was like, no, but like, where is the accent from? And I was like, oh, Nigeria, West Africa, Africa. And then she goes, yeah. So when next people ask you, what do you identify as? You say
You're
you're
Nigerian.
black.
Mm.
No, she told me
Right.
you say you're black. So that
Mm-hmm.
for me, my blackness was given to me as an
Mm.
adult
Mm. Mm.
in America.
Mm.
So it meant I
Mm.
had a new understanding now that I'm no longer just Yoruba, I'm no longer
Mm-hmm.
just Nigerian, I'm no
Mm-hmm.
longer just African. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm black because I mean
Mm.
that's it just that was my so what does it mean to be black in America? Like what am I expected to know as a black person
Mm-hmm.
here, and what are my do's and don'ts? And
Mm-hmm.
that was really, it was a learning curve for me to come to that reality.
That's
But
actually very interesting because a similar but opposite reaction or experience, I guess, is what
mm,
I got where it's obviously being Nigerian, you don't know you're black because everybody's black. So
yeah,
that concept doesn't exist. You're just
yeah,
who you
yeah,
are. And to your
hmm,
point, you're either Yoruba, Igbo, or even if you want to dig down further in Yoruba culture, you're Ijebu, you're this, you're that, whatever it
yeah,
may be.
from
And
Egba,
then coming here, my experience was more of, okay, you're here. I've understood by watching that I fall into this black category. But then when I'm aligning myself with blackness or with black people, then it becomes, well, you're not really black. You're
black.
African.
Yeah, how black are you? Yeah,
You're not really black, you're African. And it's like, okay, which one is it? I'm really new to this black thing. So help me walk through where I
yeah,
fall into. I mean, obviously my identity has shifted, from then to now. I've
hmm,
been in the US for 18 years now. So through that lens, I'm definitely black. I'm black
yeah,
AF. However, it's an interesting conversation to have with certain people who, like you said, what are the check boxes I need to mark to achieve said blackness? What
yeah,
qualifies me as Black. Clearly, it's not just the color of my skin, because if it were
Mm-hmm.
that, I'm literally and visibly blacker than other people who are deemed more Black than I am. So it's not that.
Mm-hmm.
So it has
Yeah.
to be something else I need to work towards. Is it where I was born? So if I didn't grow, I was born in Chicago actually. So I was born in the US,
Yeah.
but I was raised in Nigeria by a Nigerian family. So does the American passport automatically convey Blackness to me? Or is it something else I need to experience? So now that
It
I've
might
been
be.
here for 18 years, am I Black now? So
Mm,
it was and still is an interesting conversation. And I have since then taken that identity as Blackness. And the reason why I did that is because just like you, it was given to you.
yeah.
I didn't understand and was completely unaware of the concept of Blackness until I moved here, meaning I didn't choose it. Somebody else, some other system chose that identity and placed it on me. And
Mm-hmm.
based on, for better and worse, based on the criteria, me walking into a room, yeah, I'm Black. I'll probably be, pulled over more frequently. List all the things that will be more likely to happen to me. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I'm Black.
Yeah.
So this whole Nigerianness or Africanness, at the end of the day, the very first
It's
thing
the
this system recognizes is my Blackness before we start going into nuances. So I guess that's
yeah.
another identity that
But
exists.
I've also like found myself in black spaces, like predominantly black spaces, where it's like, oh, you still don't feed.
Yeah,
Because like I don't speak Ebonics. I don't speak Ebonics.
yeah,
I'm not. People expect you to be black and have some sort of overly dramatic, or oh, you don't like books. Something as easy
right,
as, oh, you read.
right,
It's
right.
not expected of you to read because you're black,
Ex-
or
mhm.
there are those little things. Sometimes it's just like, but I'm black, but accept me. Like,
Right.
can I please come into
Can
this space?
I completely understand. Like, please love me. Because guess
Yeah.
what? These other spaces, they're not only trying to let me hang out with them either.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah,
what's
yeah.
up? Let's hang out. But again, going
Hmm.
back to that, right? Of what defines Blackness. Even
Yeah.
that idea, let's say, let's remove the fact that, we're Nigerian out of it. Even within the quote unquote approved Black people, there's
Hmm.
still an idea of what that means, right? You still have
Means, yeah.
people who their Blackness will be questioned because you talk white, you know,
Yeah.
you grew up in the suburbs. And these are people
Yeah.
who probably have never been to the continent, right? By all definition of purpose, all definitions, they should be automatically Black. But
Black,
still
yeah.
somewhere there's a discussion and conversation around that identity. And
Hmm.
I think at
Hmm.
the end of the day, that question will never be fully answered
Answered,
because
yeah.
there will always be an extra layer of identity. So remember how you said that when you were in Nigeria, when you were in the northern part of Nigeria, you realize, oh, you're actually Yoruba. You're no longer just Mutunrayo person.
Yeah.
You're actually Yoruba. Then all of a sudden you moved out of Nigeria and now you're just African. So
Yeah.
we've zoomed out.
Yeah.
Depending on the space you're in, your identity is either going to be zoomed out of or zoomed in on.
And
And I think that no matter how we slice and dice it, there's always going to be more room to zoom in on. So it's the conversation will never end. However, there are some fundamental everyday experiences that take the bulk of our identity that we can celebrate and bring to the forefront and say, these are the things that I am. So for me, it's usually a battle between being a Black woman or an African woman. And I
mm,
chose to be an African woman because it encompasses Blackness and it allows me to go further into the conversation and remind other Black people who experience different kinds of Blackness that
mm,
at the end of the day, you're African. You know, we can
mm,
slice and dice it and zoom in and out whenever we want, but that Africanness takes everything. Because if I say I'm a Black woman, it doesn't always imply that I'm an African woman. It doesn't always imply my Nigerianness. It doesn't always imply my Yorubaness. It doesn't always imply my Yoruba culture. and my Yoruba foods and my Yoruba history and my Yoruba spirituality, it doesn't always imply those things. However, when I say I'm an African woman, of course, I'm black.
Huh, that's interesting. I don't know, because I feel like just because people are black doesn't necessarily mean they agree to be Africans.
Yes.
I mean, they said the sheep stopped at different places, hence why you have different, identity or whatever. But like, and that's I personally, I always give people the chance to explain who
Yes.
they are and what they identify as to me, because
Yes.
just because you're black doesn't
Mm,
mean I mean, I've seen a biracial woman who she does not like to be called black. She's like, I'm
yeah.
equally white, I'm equally black,
Mm-hmm.
I'm mom and dad, I'm a mixture of mom and
Mm-hmm.
dad.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
So like, just, I don't know, I feel like putting that together and saying, just, I mean, that's how you feel comfortable identifying.
Right.
But I wonder how somebody else will interpret that and say, no, 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 no.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure that other people are going to disagree with me. And that's the
Yeah.
joy of identity, right? So,
Hmm.
going, taking the conversation deeper, there are two types of identities. The ones we um, usually take on are the ones that are given to us,
Given to us, yeah.
usually at an early age. So, you're growing up. Let's take gender, for example, right?
Hmm.
Before you're born, somebody has had a baby shower to determine the type of identity they're going to convey on you. This is before you've actually been given life, right? So
Yeah.
that identity has been conveyed on you. And then eventually, as you become older and get to know yourself, you start taking and giving yourself that identity. So I completely understand that. And I agree. Not every single person is going to agree that, oh, they're African. And I've heard the same arguments that's valid, that I've never been to the continent. Why are you calling me African American? And I agree. Because if you've never even been to the continent and you have no immediate traces, yeah, that's a logical point of view. So
Explanation, yeah.
yeah, so identity, it's not so much, no one can really, okay, no, I take that back, because people can and they do. Ideally, no one should be conveying your identity to you. However, I understand, for the sake of societal management, at first glance, if I meet you on the streets, I would immediately categorize you as Black, woman, Nigerian, just throw you, right? Because my brain is trying to
Yeah.
do the quickest and the fastest things. However,
Yeah.
upon getting to know you, when you tell me, or if you tell me, no, I actually identify as Dominican American or something, or Afro Dominican, then that's your identity to me, then. So it's not for me to, or anyone else to tell somebody else that this is who you should be. It's identity should be self-imposed and I want to use the word inflicted, but it has such a negative connotation. You should self-identify in every area
Hmm.
of your life. So instead of so for example, obviously when outside was open, you're going to bars, you're meeting people, you're making new friends, and oftentimes people want to
Hmm.
focus on what I do for a living or what you do for a living. And to me, it's boring. That's the least, it's the least interesting, sort of. I don't get me wrong, I've had some really interesting jobs, but it's really the least interesting thing about me. There's so many other
Hmm.
things you should know about. You should know that I'm a thrill seeker. I've gone skydiving twice. I would love to do it again. I would love to be trained professionally and be a professional skydiver. You should know that I don't know, I'm a runner. I enjoy running. I tell myself I'm going to run a marathon, even though I run almost the distance of a marathon. But the idea of a marathon is like, do I want to do that? No, but I do enjoy running. So it's like dichotomy. Like, there's so many other things about me that, oh, I was raised in a quite religious family that was equally deeply Muslim, deeply Christian, and deeply African spiritualist, and now I'm atheist. That's more interesting. Like, talk to me about the journey, right? I have a tattoo on my shoulder on the back here that says Dio e amore. In Italian, it means God is love. And then now I'm telling you I don't believe in God. Let's talk about that. Like, there's so many other identities of mine that should be more fascinating than the ones we immediately try to convey on people, or the ones we immediately try to size people up on. So when someone meets you, what do you do when? I throw them
That's
up. I'm like, when? On
interesting.
weekends? What do I do on
Wow.
weekends? What do I do during the
So
week?
wow, wow. So that's something that's very interesting because personally, when you ask me, oh, what do you do? I just tell people what I like, my professional, like,
Right.
oh, I'm a business analyst. And
Mhm.
the reason I literally had to talk through I went to therapy, and it was therapy that helped me realize this, right? So my mom is a farmer. She's a farmer. My
Uh-huh.
grandmother was a farmer.
Uh-huh.
So I grew up around like this local rural women who, I mean, they loved what they did. I don't know if they loved it or not, but they sure did it. Sure, it was they got money from it. And I think as a child, I remember my grandmother saying I was too lazy to be to
Mhm.
work on the farm, And I also told her, like, I was like maybe 5 or 6, and I told her, oh no, me personally, I'm doing a white man's job. Like,
Yeah.
I would do a professional.
Right.
Yeah, like I was so sure at that age that I was gonna do like a blue collar, white collar job, right? So I had learned at an early age that what you do matters.
Mhm.
Like who you say you are matters.
Mhm.
And so when, as an adult now, when people come up to me and say, "Oh, hi, what's your name, Mutaraya? What do you do?" "Oh, I'm a business analyst." I work in corporate America. I work in this space
Mhm.
that my
Mhm.
grandmother never did, and
Mhm.
here I am.
Mhm.
So that was always how I introduced myself until I lost that job. I mean, I've been in corporate America for a while, but when I lost that job, I didn't grieve for the loss of the job. I grieved for the identity what
Mhm.
that job gave me. The right that I felt like,
Mhm.
it gave me. And I had to redefine like myself now. I was no longer Mutsumaya Adeola, the business analyst or the scrum master or the girl that worked in corporate America. I was Mutsumaya Adeola. What? So I had to go back to the basics of I'm Mutsumaya Adeola, the daughter, I'm Mutsumaya Adeola, the sister, I'm Mutsumaya Adeola, the friend, the writer. Like, it took me losing something that I held so close for me to redefine what my identity really is. And I guess I'm still learning because there's still days I like struggle. I'm just like, God, I need that ginger to be able to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
answer people truthfully when they say, "What do you do?" Because I'm
Yeah.
also, unfortunately, I also used to be one of those people that if you didn't have a title to your
Mhm.
name,
Mhm.
it's like, "Oh, you don't do anything,"
Yeah.
or, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
you are human," but but
You're not valid
this
yet.
exactly, and I didn't even realize how bad it was until my own title got taken away.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's interesting because we're all victims to it,
yeah.
all of us. And I don't know what the source is or where it started, but
Mm-hmm.
we know this is what we have. And what we
Yeah.
have is that we immediately want to size up other people
Other people. Yeah.
based on their ranks in society, or where we think their ranks in society would be. So, and I'll use myself as an example. When I started out my career, I was in the hospitality industry. So I've worked in front office management in hotels, I've worked in event planning. Even way before then, I've worked in clubs, I've worked in all kinds of things. And obviously, as I worked and progressed, I'm making more money, I'm doing better for myself, and all of this cool stuff, right? But the
Mhm.
interesting thing is going back to title. Right now, my official title is I'm an executive assistant to the CEO of a private equity firm. However, I have, according to society standards, in certain circles, or most circles actually, I have less respect now with this title, yes, than when I was front office manager or front office supervisor or client
Uh,
liaison or whatever it is. Because, and then I was poor. Don't get me wrong, I love my job.
She said I was poor.
No, I was poor.
Yeah.
There are a lot of fun titles, but look, it wasn't making money. But it
Yeah.
was fun. Again, it's a balance of life, that kind of thing, right? But the proximity, the people I was close to, and
Mm-hmm.
the coolness of the job was more desired by society than the idea of being an executive assistant. Because being
Mm-hmm.
an executive assistant implies you're just a secretary.
Exactly. Advanced
That,
secretary or like a PA.
yeah,
Yep.
that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we're not gonna go into that. But if only I knew, like and sidebar, another identity of mine is coaching other people, especially people who are a little bit younger than I am and trying to figure out what to do with their career. And my advice is learn from me, learn from my mistakes. I want to be the person I wish someone was to me back then. I wish someone had pushed me, pulled me to the side and said, look, all these fancy titles and all these cool events and social media and posting and everything, you're wasting your you check your 401k portfolio, non-existent. Where's the savings account? Non-existent. Where is that?
Nothing.
Nothing. So all the things you're chasing don't really make sense. You could be doing more and applying the same skill sets in a different environment. So that idea of a title defining you or us judging people by their titles, I definitely feel I didn't realize that I was really judging people by their titles or judging myself even because ideally I don't consider myself that kind of person. But it wasn't until I made a pivot and
Mm-hmm.
started working as an executive assistant that other people's reactions started affecting me. And I'm like, oh, what? So now
Oh.
that's done. And in my head, I'm thinking, if you really understood the role of an EA, especially an
Mm-hmm.
EA to the CEO or leadership, whatever, you would have a different
Mm-hmm.
idea. But it's not my job to start explaining to people, oh, please accept me, please let me be cool. So
Mm-hmm.
similarly, I also had to take a step back and say, okay, so now are you ashamed of your title? So now are you ashamed of the work that you do? Is it not an honest living? Did you not work hard to get here? Are you not working hard every single day just like the next person? So why are you letting that define you, right? So when that sort of little bit of shame was trying to come over me, I did a similar thing of why do I even use this as the most interesting thing? Because I can't even talk about my job. I can't tell you. Most of the things that go on are confidential. So I can't even tell you about the things that I do. So why is that the first thing you ask? So that annoyance is also what prompted me to start asking people or to start moving the conversation away. And two, things like ask me other questions about my
Question.
life.
Yeah.
Ask me other questions about my experiences. Trust me, you will find a whole lot more to be interesting and fascinating and or just maybe you won't like it than this idea of what do you do and why that's your identity. I mean, yes, we're not going to fix the way the world sees that and uses that because we're just judging people, period.